Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to our plenary session 3, Lakhpati Didi. We are going to be beginning with our plenary session on Lakhpati Didi with a keynote address. Lakhpati Didi elevating the SHG model to the next level through enterprise promotions. But before we begin with the panel discussion and before I request the distinguished members of the panel to join us, may we invite our keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I invite our keynote speaker for this session, Ms. Smriti Sharan, who is the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. Ma'am, may I please invite you to kindly give the keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now being joined by Joint Secretary, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, Ms. Smriti Sharan, to give the keynote address for the plenary session 3. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Can I shut this? Ma'am, 1 minute.
Before I request Ms. Smriti Sharan to present the keynote address, may I request you to kindly join us at the center stage to welcome her with a planter and requesting Mr. Gigi Maman to present a planter and welcome Ms. Smriti Sharan to this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good morning to all of you, esteemed guests, bankers, a large cohort of women from microfinance. It's so wonderful to see such a mixed crowd. I'll be honest up front before I lend the keynote address. Just last week we had a bankers conclave, and bankers intimidate me. I'm bad at numbers, and bankers come with a great sense of purpose. And there we were. Most of the gathering was largely consisting of menfolk. So this is like a very welcome change because there is a larger gathering of women. And thank you, women, for being a part of this ecosystem. I see a lot of hope and a lot of development because you people are here. I can already see a couple of familiar faces who are smiling. So I now begin. Thank you, Sa-Dhan, for organizing this very wonderful conversation along inclusive inclusion. That's what DAY-NRLM, Deen Dayal Antyodaya, Rashtriya Ajivika Mission does and has been doing it for several years. And in a revised format, we've been doing it since 2011. Well, my role has been made largely easy by the opening session where Dr. Sourav Garsa, Secretary MOSPI, and Dr. Sharan Singh, who in their conversation have highlighted the role that NRLM plays in the empowerment journey of women in the rural landscape. I would just like to take it forward from there and mention that the SHG bank linkage model of microfinance has played a very pivotal role in leveraging basic group dynamics to move towards inclusive financial system. Over time, the program has taken deep roots and has been able to get a large part of the unbanked community into the banking fabric. Some of our numbers, which are really significant, and it's important to mention those numbers so that more of you are aware of the deep grassroots work that we are doing, is like as follows. We've given out 9.54 lakh crore loans, which have been accessed by women SHGs under DAY-NRLM since 2013. Our disbursement to SHGs has reached more than 2 lakh crores, of 2.8 lakh crores to 56.50 lakh SHGs, and a disbursement of which was just 23,316 crores, has risen to more than 10 lakh crores during the financial year 2013-14. Our average disbursement per SHG has reached a level of 3.68 lakh crores. A large number of women who have begun their journey from the self-help group have now matured and are eligible and are keen to take individual loans to set up their own individual enterprise. And this growing phenomena in the country has been noted by nobody less than the Honorable Prime Minister of India, who during the last year's speech at the Red Fort on the occasion of Independence Day, he said that his dream is to make 2 crore Lakhpati Didis. And we set on a journey we had been working on it nonetheless, followed by Honorable Finance Minister, who in the next year's budget speech raised this number to 3 crore Lakhpati Didis. Now that's a very tall ask, but the DAY-NRLM, which extends from the National Mission Unit here at the headquarters to the grassroots level where our Didis are working, and I shall come to our banking correspondent Didis in a while. All of us took this challenge in the right spirit, and we have been working towards that. Our experience over decades has shown us that where women are involved at the forefront of mobilizing women, building those institutions, making them rock solid in terms of compliances and audits, and also watching out for each other, looking out for each other's interests, has really made them a force to reckon with in the rural landscape. And what we have seen is that when women are at the forefront of building institutions, they bring along with them empathy, ownership, commitment, honesty, transparency, and more than that, despite the burden of domestic chores, they give so much of their time to nurturing these community-based organizations. Now, given the enormity of the task of making 3 crore Lakhpati Didis, are one of the biggest partners and supporters, Reserve Bank of India, decided that they're going to help us ramp up the intervention of women-led entrepreneurship. And therefore, in the master circular, which was issued this year, they advised banks to extend loans up to 10 lakhs to individual members amongst cohort of those community-based organizations that have reached a level of maturity. Now, this is a very positive step in our Lakhpati journey because several women-led enterprises are still very small and yield very major revenues. So there is a need to enable these enterprises and support these existing women-owned enterprises to scale up. Now, the assistance under this fund, this Women Enterprise Acceleration Fund, is in several forms. So first of all, we give interest subvention on bank loans to individual women self-help group members for economic enterprises. There is a component of reimbursement of actual credit guarantee charges to the banks which are financing them, and for these micro enterprises. Now, to facilitate the financing of women-led micro and small enterprises in the rural areas, the banks can draw comfort from the fact that the SHG ecosystem is strong, is robust, is transparent, and is continuously evolving and learning. So, the request to the banks gathered here and to the entire banking community is to follow suit of this RBI circular and provide loans up to 10 lakhs to our women entrepreneurs, individual entrepreneurs who are ready to embark on this journey. During the bankers conclave that we held last week, What we mentioned to the banking community were several of our concerns. First was that while banks are very, very upfront in lending to the self-help groups, there is a large degree of hesitation when it comes to loaning to individual members. Now that needs to be addressed by the bankers. These individual members who are willing to take loans are part of the same self-help group cohort that you've been lending to for so many years. And that should be the safety net that should give you the comfort. Another thing that we mentioned in a bankers conclave was there is a gender discrimination, to which all the bankers sitting there jumped to the defense and they said, no, we don't look at gender, we look at viable loan projects. Yeah, that could be right, but I do not have data to bank. But let me tell you that the gender discrimination is very, very obvious until the bankers community takes it up as a challenge. We will not be able to realize the dream of 3 crore Lakhpati women. And what I also want to add is that when you're financing the self-help group women for micro and small enterprises, it's the same SHG ecosystem and a with Sakhis who help you with the relevant paperwork and also helping you do a background check or any other paperwork that's required that can give you the required degree of confidence that yes, the woman entrepreneur is ready to take this loan and is eligible to take this loan. We are focusing on our with Sakhis and we are working with them, and in times to come, I'm sure we'll have a big group of these. Now, if these women are given opportunity to grow, they will not only create employment for more than 20 million people, but also make a sizable contribution to the country's vision of becoming a 10 trillion economy. There is indeed a silent revolution taking place in rural areas, and it will be for all of you to see in the next 5 to 10 years. Like I said, women face several challenges. First of all is the gender discrimination and the reluctance on part of the financing institutions to lend to single business. I will also add one more reluctance which we've been trying to address through various institutions, but we've not made a big headway. Now, there are business correspondents that the banks have, which are like the corporate entity, which enroll banking correspondents, which are what our self-help group women are, the BC Sakhis. For a country as large as ours, I just have 130,000 business correspondent, banking correspondent Didis. Now that's a pretty dismal number. We've been talking to various banks individually and at various fora and at DFS meetings. But while there's been a lot of talk, we've not really made much progress. So I will sincerely urge the banking community and the microfinance community sitting here, what is it that we can really do in concrete terms to increase these numbers? Because please don't forget, it's the BC Sakhi that has the confidence of the women and has the credibility and the training and the certification to extend loans to the SHG cohort. So that's really the link, the bridge to not just reach to the unbanked community, but also to present, make available finance to those who are ready to take that loan. So that is another thing that we need to look at. We need to create a culture for entrepreneurship, more focus on capacity building, business development support, and making finance available for promoting entrepreneurship. In short, creating more Lakhpati Didis. I will urge all the stakeholders, banks, NABARD, Sa-Dhan, the microfinance community, and everybody else who's here to very seriously deliberate on this and see how we could break this glass ceiling so that there are more women availing loans, there are more Lakhpati Didis, and there is greater rural prosperity. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sa-Dhan, for giving me this opportunity to speak to such an august gathering. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing in forward such pertinent and very crucial points. We promise you that the inputs shared by you shall stay with us in most of our deliberations. Thank you. Ma'am, may I request you to come and join us into the stage, and may I invite on stage Board Member Sa-Dhan, Mr. Mukul Jaiswal, to kindly join us onto the stage and felicitate our honorable keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause as we thank Ms. Smriti Sharan, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. Thank you, ma'am, once again for sharing such valuable inputs with us, presenting a shawl and a memento, and thanking ma'am. Very inspiring words, very pertinent thoughts that shall stay with most of us. A lot of takeaways. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to our plenary session discussion, and we take forward from the keynote address and discuss further about Lakhpati Didi elevating the SHG model to the next level through enterprise promotions. Please join me as I invite our honorable moderator and distinguished speakers of the session. May I invite on stage our moderator of the session, Consulting Editor, Business Standard, Mr. Tamal Bandyopadhyay. Very warm welcome to you, sir. May we also invite on stage MD and CEO ONDC, Mr. T Koshy. Mr. T Koshy is invited onto the stage. May we also invite Regional Head South Asia Women's World Banking, Ms. Kalpana Ajayan. Warm welcome to Ms. Kalpana. And may we also invite on stage Senior Program Officer, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Anjani Kumar Singh. Warm welcome to Mr. Kumar. May we also invite on stage senior expert from the Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, NRLM, Mr. Sourav. And we also invite on stage General Manager, Punjab National Bank, Mr. Kuldeep Singh Rana. And we also request Chief Distribution Officer, Zurich Kotak General Insurance Company, Mr. Jagjeet Singh Siddhu. Ladies and gentlemen, this session is going to speak about and explore the significant role of SHGs have played in empowering women and assess whether it's time to elevate this model to the next level. The discussion will also dwell into the Lakhpati Didi scheme, examining its impact on women's economic empowerment and community development. Insights shall be shared on how such schemes can accelerate economic generation and further take forward the certain sustainable development across India. With those words, may I request the moderator of the session, Mr. Tamal Bandyopadhyay, to kindly take it forward.
Very good morning and a warm welcome to the session. Lakhpati Didi, elevating the SHG model to the next level. As you have noticed, I'm not introducing them again. It's a very, I would say you will get a 360-degree view of what's happening on ground and how to move ahead. Persons and experts from every quarter, from bank, from insurance, from Women's World Banking, from ONDC, from the government, everybody is present here. I wish there was an RBI person in the panel, but we have our ex-Deputy Governor Vishwanathan Sahab sitting there, so I'm sure he will be watching us and probably butt in if it's required. So you have come to listen to them. I'll just make a few preliminary remarks, and rest of us will have an interactive session. We'll also take questions from the audience, and we will not end till the end. wait for the thing. So just keep the microphone ready. Maybe after a couple of rounds, we'll ask the audience to have a few questions, just to make it interactive. There have been talks since morning. We're hearing about the SHG movement and, of course, how the Lakhpati Didi is taking off. But just a few lines about the history of SHG movement. Reserve Bank of India formally started with a pilot project with NABARD in 1992. But SHG movement, the experts said that in India it started much ahead in 1970s. And we have Mayada, we have Seva in Gujarat. We had Mayada in Karnataka, which started with NABARD loan in 1980s. We had Pradhan, actually Pradhan got the first SHG linkage with, yes, this gentleman is here from Punjab National Bank, your bank, in Alwar in Rajasthan in 1987. So even before Reserve Bank of India formally started in 1992, and how it started, RBI started a pilot project linking 3,000 SHGs with the banks across India. And RBI followed this up in 1995 by constituting a a working group to oversee the project. NABARD MD then, Mr. Kalia, was the chairman of that. So that's the history. As of now, we have about 9 crore plus SHGs, and our Prime Minister said that over a period of time, self-help groups will turn into national help groups. So from SHG to NHG, that's what Mr. Modi said. And what are the SHG group? It's very different from JLG, which is also in the Indian financial system. So JLG is the joint liability group, which is actually the root of microfinance or the backbone of microfinance. And also very interestingly, while NABARD is behind the SHG movement, SIDBI, another institution, is behind the JLG movement. SHG is, and if you get into any of the meeting of SHG in rural India, you'll primarily, you will not find any, from the outsider, you will not find any difference between a GLG meeting and an SHG meeting. But if you get in, you will find that there is no outsider there, nobody from NBFCs and microfinance to collect loans. You will find more talks about health, more talks about education, more talk about savings than loans. So that's the basic difference. Now, SHG to Lakhpati Didi is essentially a graduation. You know, there are pros and cons that we'll discuss, and our panelists will talk about that. But Lakhpati Didi is essentially from a group, you graduate and you become a Lakhpati. August 25, 2024, this year, our Prime Minister felicitated Didis at Jalgaon in Maharashtra. On that day, about 11 lakh Lakhpati Didis were facilitated across India. As we speak, there is 1 crore Lakhpati Didi, and the target is, as the speaker before us, she was talking, giving the address from Finance Ministry. She spoke about the objective is to get 3 crore. So 3 times. And who is Lakhpati Didi? Is very simple. Who wants a lakh? Average 10,000 plus a month. There are multiple things behind this, how to make it a success. We have to identify the Lakhpati Didis who has the potential. We have to handhold them. We need to have trainers. We need to have capacity building training, different kind of livelihood models, everything else. And of course, the financial support. There is various ways of financial support, including subvention of 7%. And of course, overdraft, those whoever have Jan Dhan account. With this, I end here. And since you are talking about Lakhpati Didis, and you don't mind if I am having a gender bias, so we'll start with Kalpana. To start with this, I think first round we talk about SHG movement looking back. Is it a success? And that's how we started the next, getting into the next stage. Or do you think it's too early? I have no opinion.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sa-Dhan, for having me here. At Women's World Banking, we've been involved in the journey of women and financial inclusion now for about 45 years. And really, we work in 30 odd countries. But really the success of the self-help group movement in this country is something that, is celebrated, that we celebrate, at an international level, because the maturity of the framework which is guiding it, which is the National Rural Livelihood Mission, I think the kind of governance structure that exists, I think all of this is such a phenomenal success. And I think now really is the next step, like what Ms. Smriti Sharan was also mentioning, is that the whole individual graduation piece, these women are more than ready to take on and become entrepreneurs. There is so much of appetite. A lot of times, I'm an ex-banker myself, and the term that is often used to describe the women credit borrowers is, oh, she's risk-averse. That's not true at all. Our work with millions of women here and in other parts of the world is that she's very much risk-aware. I think we need to change the way we describe the women as well. They're not risk-averse, they're risk-aware. In fact, she is absolutely confident to become entrepreneur, fully aware of the risks. But how do we ensure that we facilitate, as you very rightly said, Tamalda, not just credit, but equally the non-financial services, which is that you could give her the credit, but we shouldn't, really let her set up to fail. So how do we ensure that we provide her with the digital financial capability, as we call it, which is not just skills and knowledge, but equally the attitude, and habits. This is our, this is what we believe in Women's World Banking, that we need to be providing non-financial services along with the financial services. And these women are more than ready. And so the SHG group movement is the fantastic platform which could be leveraged to produce the next 2 crore. Why only 2 crore? Much more than 2 crore Lakhpati Didi. Yeah.
So thanks, Kalpana. You were saying time is right. This is the right moment to start. Let's hear Mr. Koshy. Now you represent, you're sitting in your chair, Parch, ONDC. It's a new animal itself. So why don't you give us a sense for what do you do, starting with a few lines, those who are not familiar with what you do, and then talk about this.
Thank you. In the context of what we are discussing today is of SHGs, empowering them, creating more Lakhpati Didis, which means more participation by their entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. How do we come in? We believe our primary role is an enabler of broad-basing of commerce. Today we have digital commerce and physical commerce. Physical commerce, you will see relatively broad-based participation from multinational corporation to small micro enterprises. When it comes to digital commerce, while all of us sitting here, the privileged segment of the society is very active participant, still the penetration is really, really small. If you look at the buy side, it's about 7-8%, less than 10% in the of the population, which is the privileged segment of the society. If you look at the sell side, it is even much lesser, it's 2 to 3%. It means that this is something that is, focused at the segment of the society which is more privileged. The idea of ONDC is to change this equation and make what we call democratization of commerce. So if I am a small entrepreneur in some part of the country, I should have the equal visibility of my products across a nation, which means that I'm thinking about enhancing the market access. So from the context of what we are seeing today, so in the whole thing, there are multiple components. Some components are being made by us. Like I said, the digital rails to enhance the market access is being built by us. So that is enabling significant participation. We saw in the early stages FPOs and artisans and small enterprises coming. Since the last 1 year, like when we started, making ourselves visible to the large market, it was, something like 1,000 transactions in 23 January, and this month we may be doing almost 13.5 million transactions 55% of it's coming from small enterprises. But let us try to contextualize for today. While we bring the digital rails, giving everybody equal opportunity, we have a lot of work to be done to empower this broad cross-section to benefit from it. One is that how do we educate the small enterprises to make their product relevant and accessible to a large market. So there's a lot of capacity building that needs to be done. In fact, I can see my friend from Gates Foundation sitting here, who has already, sort of initiated a project there that they will try to leverage this network to enable 1 million women entrepreneurs to enhance their livelihood. So when we are working on this project, I just take an example of actual grassroots project because that's what makes a difference. It's about educating them to improve the process, improve their packaging, improve their logistics, improve the way they market themselves. How do they even use digital marketing channels? Because it's all these things together that will help them to enhance the market access. When we do that, we are also helping them to create a digital trail of their transactions. Certainly, it is empowering them in the working capital loans. We have Jagjeet from in the insurance sector. So now another building block we are enabling is how can we bring sachetized insurance? Let's say a small entrepreneur selling something from somewhere far in Jharkhand to somewhere in Delhi, and if that's a loss that happens, a large business enterprise may be able to make good it immediately. But a small enterprises, even one package loss is a significant package. So that becomes another component that needs micro insurance, sachetized insurance available. So what Open Network for Digital Commerce enabling, I'm just summarizing, is market access, access to credit, access to skill, access to logistics, access to warehousing as a service, access to risk containment measures like insurance in a common digital rail. So with this, I'll just stop here and then we can take it further.
Thanks, Koshy. Jagjeet, I mean, you have been nodding continuously. He's from insurance segment, Kotak. So tell us your sense and how does insurance segment pitch in this entire movement?
Thank you, Tamal. Before actually coming to this topic, I would, go a little 15 minutes back when Madam Sharan was, discussing about the women biasness and women diversity. So I was patiently listening to her and was trying to correct that. Can I actually speak something on it? Because women play a very critical role in our society, in our family. She is always there. She was always there in our good and bad time, providing the emotional quotient and support to us as mother, as as a sister. And when I see and try to reconnect it with what effort we are taking, especially from NRLM, to actually develop a lot of new entrepreneurs who are women entrepreneurs. I proudly say, being an Indian, that those women are now upgrading themselves and bringing not only the social stability to the family, but the financial stability to the family as well. So I mean, that's a great initiative. Now coming back to the insurance, I would say one thought which was always running in my mind, that one thing which is not talked about is insurance inclusion. We were always there and talking about the financial inclusion, that we have to actually make them, financially more empowered, powerful to actually drive the society forward. But I tell you, insurance inclusion is also a very critical and important thing, which not only provide the stability in terms of security to the individual or the family, but also help them to actually improve their financial standard by earning out of that insurance as well. When Mr. Koshy was talking, because we as an insurance, our representative are already working very closely with ONDC, we are trying to see that how do we reach these self-help group digitally and of course in physical manner to provide them first level of security, which is very much required, because when they are actually graduating themselves from one level of their financial stability to the next and driving the whole, community forward. I would say that how we actually can give them the protection for which we are there, but at the same time, can we actually empower them to do good in terms of financial and lead their family having some income derived out of insurance as well. So I think, on insurance side, I would say a lot of things can be done, and we are trying to do at different level. We are working with, state rural livelihood mission in Uttarakhand also. We are trying to see that can we actually have those BC, Sakhis, also selling insurance, which are contextual in nature to all the people they are interacting with in their ecosystem, and earn some livelihood from them. At the same time, having a protection for themselves as well when they are actually becoming events. So this is all I would say from our side, from the institute.
Thanks, Jagjeet. In fact, that's the mission of the IRDA chairman, Mr. Panda, that insurance for all by 1947. And that's the one way. In fact, insurance is going the banking's way, that SLBC kind of model they are following in every state now for insurance. Thanks. So let's hear Anjani. You represent Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So yeah, your take on this, preliminary remarks.
Thank you. Thank you for, to the whole Sa-Dhan team for organizing this event, and inviting, us to be part of this event. I would also like to thank the Sa-Dhan team for another reason. I see, there are people who both from the MFI world and the community finance or SHG world. I mean, there are very few events where we see that these two worlds come together. And I see, at least in this event, certainly ma'am has come, representing NRLM. Also, I see CS Reddy, who has lived all his life working on the community finance and SHG platforms and all. So, bringing both the world together, and thanks to the Sa-Dhan team for, doing that. I think, for us as a foundation, the whole women's economic empowerment strategy hinges on what NRLM does. Whether it's the financial inclusion, whether it's a gender integration, whether it's a livelihood promotion, whether it's a Lakhpati Didi, our whole thinking and strategy hinges on what NRLM does, the various activities. One of the great things that NRLM, that it does not just limits to the income and the finances. It also talks about health, it talks about nutrition. As we know that poverty is not just, it's a multidimensional. So just working on one particular issue is not going to help poor people to come out of poverty. And that's where to deal with this multidimensional poverty, NRLM platform becomes a super critical platform, and I'm so proud that to be part and parcel of this whole NRLM journey from the last 1.5 decades. That this whole platform, now there is a lot that we see the interest in the external world. I mean, while the rest of the world just focus on the MFIs and the financial inclusion, I think India, again, it's great, goes to the Indian government and Indian system, which thought about this platform and invested, over the last 2 decades into building these platforms and all. And at this moment, it has become globally one of the largest, not one, probably the largest, women's platform, which is working on these, not only on the financial inclusion, but also on the women's livelihood and women's economic empowerment. I would not get into all the work that we do together with the NRLM and all, but one of the interesting the concept of the Lakhpati Didi that I would like to highlight. A lot of the government programs struggle, and they have been also criticized to just focus on expenditure. I remember when I was learning my own in my kindergarten of the development sector, there was one book called outlays to outcome. You know, so the lot of government program has a focus on outlays, expenditure, activity, inputs, but the outcome part, lot of time gets missed. The whole beauty of the Lakhpati Didi does not talk about input, activity and all, it talks about the outcome. You know, at the end of the day, what is the outcome that we want to achieve? And that's where that concept has a very significance in terms of we are driven by the, you know, outcome and not necessarily, you know, the inputs and activities and all. So anything and everything that needs to be done to make the Didi's outcome, you know, make the Didi's Lakhpati, you know, NRLM will make sure that all those things are done. My last point, you know, would be is, I think while, you know, certainly we are talking about Lakhpati Didis here, but, you know, in my field visits and my own interaction with these SHG members and all, I also see that, you know, Didis have started aspiring for Crorepati. There are Didis which have set up their businesses and they have, a, you know, the businesses of around 60 to 70 lakh rupees. I was recently, few months back, I was in Bangalore in one of the event, and where both I am, you know, Bangalore and I am Calcutta, is, you know, supporting those women enterprises and helping them to, you know, to be part of their accelerations program, where they don't do and create businesses for themselves, but also create additional employment opportunities for other, you know, members of the SHG or outside the SHGs and all. So that way, you know, they are not just, you know, becoming the Lakhpatis and Crorepati, but also creating additional employment opportunity in situ environment in the rural areas, because we also see that the female labor force participation in India has been a challenge, and we feel that SHG program would be a great vehicle to also improve the, you know, women labor force participation in addition to the several other work that, you know, that they have been doing and all.
Thanks, Anjani. So from Lakhpati, we have aim is 3 crore. Now we are talking about Crorepati. Anyway, Sourav, I'm keeping you for the last round because you represent the government, and Madam already on behalf of the government of India, she kicked off the discussion with her keynote address. So I'm keeping you the last. Before that, Kuldeep. As I mentioned in my preliminary remarks that even before Reserve Bank of India started the pilot project in 1992, Punjab National Bank in Rajasthan, one branch in Alwar, started this SHG in 1987. So being a banker, we have heard a insurance perspective. So tell us, what do you see at the entire thing, and then we'll get into the next one. Sourav, after that.
So, thank you very much, and thank you, Sa-Dhan, for inviting me to also for this. So I as a banker, I will tell from the banking point of view that what is the role of banks and how we have to go ahead with this program, and what we can as a banker we can do in future also. So let us see the transition period when we started in the early 80s and 90s, as you were saying. There were these small enterprises, small groups, which we were giving a finance of 30,000, 40,000 or 1 lakh. So that started from there. Then the NRLM came, and NRLM has made the program so successful for the SHG with the help of the banks. And all the banks, they also came forward for financing the SHG. There may be initial hiccups when the NRLM has to see that how we can go ahead with these financing of the groups. However, as this program stabilized, and now all banks are coming forward that we should go for more financing under this sector. Many of the banks, they have made good finance under this scheme, and as we were telling, the RBI has come out with the many guidelines on this, how much amount is to be given. Then RBI has also, this is one of the part of the priority sector also, so we are having a benefit of that also. Now, how we can go ahead with the women-led enterprises for the single purpose, that they have given the interest subvention part, and the CGTMSC cover also. So there is lot of comfort for the banks. And even the banks before this comfort also, they are ready to finance. Reason being, the NPA in this sector is the lowest among the industry. Lowest NPA among the industry as far as this NRLM, SHG is concerned. So even if this insurance cover is not available, this TMSC cover is not available, though it is interest subvention which is beneficial to the members, the bank will come forward to finance all these Lakhpati Didis. And as Madam mentioned, all the banks has formulated the various schemes for the financing under the scheme. Already we have formulated the schemes, and all banks are coming forward for financing under the scheme. Now, the discussion point of one thing which is to be discussed is, because this has to be, finance has to start from the branches. Each and every branch of the banks, there are no branches, but each and every branch manager of the bank who is sitting on the behest of the branch, he has to see that how he handhold the SHG member who is coming for the finance. Unless and until he is conversant with the scheme, unless and until he handhold that bank, Lakhpati Didi or that SHG member, this financing will be difficult initially. Though in the later stages, it will stabilize just like a SHG financing, it has stabilized. Now, here comes the role of BC Sakis, bank Sakis, BIT Sakis, and the banks are also appointing the bank Sakis on behalf of the banks also. So, these all stakeholders will come together. NRLM is there to help for the sourcing of the applications. Branch managers has to take interest. Head office level, we have to say that these are the policy, but these are to be implemented at the field level, for which we are working on. And definitely this will start picking up, and I think this has already started picking up, and definitely with the help of these all banking finance, they will be able to reach, and the government, where we have a criteria that we will be reaching this number of Lakhpati Didis, we will surpass those targets. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Kuldeep. You spoke about the quality of assets. I'm just quoting a few numbers from Economic Survey 2022-23, which extensively dealt with the SHG movement. Is talking about SHG repayment is more than 96%. That's the repayment capacity. It's talked about the growth, SHG linked credit growth has been 10.8% CAGR between financial year 2013 and financial year 2022. I'm talking about economic survey of 2022-23. So CAGR of 10.8% credit growth, credit disbursement per SHG grown at 5.7% CAGR. And if you look at the Indian states, West Bengal has the maximum number of SHGs, 11,81,000. And second state also from the east, Bihar, 10,96,000. So that's the SHG number state-wise. There are both the eastern state. Now I'll talk, Sourav, you have been waiting patiently. You have heard a lot of glowing tributes to NRLM by Anjani. And he is also jumping the gun. He is saying, why Lakhpati Didi? Let's talk. Time almost has come to talk about Crorepati Didis. So from your perch, tell us.
Thank you. First of all, again, thank you, Sa-Dhan, for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I think most of it has been said, but let me give one dimension. NRLM has most often been described as one of the large poverty elimination program. But I think this aspect is now undergoing a change. It is no more just limited to poverty elimination. It is also to create economic prosperity. That's how Viksit Bharat will be created over time. And Lakhpati Didi initiative is the fulcrum for this. Now, as such, Lakhpati Didi, I will not call it a scheme within NRLM. It's not a scheme. Probably the Lakhpati Didi initiative is actually setting the foundation where all actors, be it different departments of the government with their own schemes, be it the financial institutions, be it the regulators, be it other technical agencies, even educational and training institutes, all can play a significant role, and that's the foundation this whole initiative is creating. Now, what is required, probably that is what I would probably touch upon. What it requires is building an ecosystem. All parts of the ecosystem has to come together. It's not only financial institutions coming and others missing, it will not work. So all the elements of some of these I already touched upon in terms of capacity building, in terms of initial support, the training agencies, continuous hand-holding support, someone being there as a mentor, this support is definitely required. Access to market, helping people reach out to market platforms like ONDC. ONDC is a platform, but there has to be someone who facilitates that access. Of course, business development services, technology integration, that is another aspect. And of course, the role of financial institutions, nobody can take away. So all of these things has to come together. Now, these will have to be facilitated, given the segment we are working with, it has to be facilitated through a very, very simplified process. Often there are processes, but the processes are not simple enough. Be it formalization, be it even access to financial services, even the application forms. It cannot be a lengthy one. You cannot ask for 50 pages DPR for a 5 lakh rupee loan. So those things has to be simplified, and regulators and all other actors involved in this needs to take into, and they are. And the good part of it is they are. Just to give you an instance, say for example, for the Lakhpati Didi initiative, the individual credit linkage under the self-help groups, IBA has, in discussion with banks, have come out with a one-pager form. And that simplified life to a great extent. Similar initiatives, a lot more are required. So I'll stop here, maybe, and maybe as question comes, we'll take it.
Thanks, Sourav. It's a very different perspective how the processes needs to be changed. That's what you're saying. Yes, please.
The whole significance, because you quoted the economic survey, we know that till 2011-12, we used to call it the 4 states in South, which is Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Karnataka. I mean, that time Andhra was, joint Andhra. So those 4 or 5 states had 60-70% of the whole share of the, of the SHG program, both in terms of the number of the SHGs and the SHG bank linkage which used to happen. Once the NRLM came, that trend had started changing. Now, I mean, you yourself referred, Bihar became one of the largest SRLM. West Bengal is doing wonderful. Lot of northern states which were, had no SHG movement, or they were lagging behind in the SHG movement. Again, thanks to the NRLM, and credit goes to them to get that movement going in the eastern states and all. And now they have a significant, much faster growth in both in terms of the number of SHG as well as the SHG bank linkage program. So that has been a, big,
Thanks, Anjani. Now I have right now the new SHG numbers as of 31st January 2024. The 4 southern states you are talking about, Andhra has still substantial 8,55,000 plus, but Kerala is just 2,70,000, Tamil Nadu 3,36,000, and Telangana 4,41,000. So much less than West Bengal and Bihar. West Bengal is 11,81,000, Bihar is 10,96,000. So almost close to 12 lakh and 11 lakh. Southern states are much, much behind. when it comes to SHGs. Right now, as we speak, it's a new number, 31st January 2024. Sourav, from all your ministry report, data only,
And just to add to that, if you see the growth of credit flow in these states, I think when NRLM mission started, I think Bihar was, the annual disbursement was around 250 crore, and it's now almost 10,000 crore annually. Similarly, Bengal, I think Bengal was doing about 300-400 crores annually. Now they have reached to about 20,000 crore plus. So that's the kind of growth in 10 years these states have been able to achieve.
Okay, Sourav, thanks. And now I just want to understand one thing from each of you, and it's not deviating, but you spoke about the ecosystem, environment, etc. Gigi is around, he would not like me to talk about that. You would not like me to talk about that. Right now, the ecosystem and the environment is slightly vitiated. Now, you're talking about giving them money and the different, I'm not repeating what kind of subvention and all sorts of things and all. But if you see, the credit culture seems to have taken a hit at this point of time. Now, traditionally we blame all the loan waivers in run up to the elections, etc., etc. But now it seems that the entity themselves are responsible for this vitiating credit culture. You know, people are like the CEO of one entity, I will not name neither the CEO nor the entity, saying that when the collector has gone to one particular area to collecting, they think there's some 6 motorcycles and so many things and all. There are some 20 guys are there already, for the same group collecting money. So this, to cut it short, is the over leveraging. That's the theme right now. And RBI governor says that the push factor, it's a supply-led phenomena now, not the demand thing and all. So everybody is. So in this kind of situation, do you think, there is a risk we are running that Lakhpati Didis you are talking about, they will take loan, they will not return, all those things can happen, or the SHG ecosystem, the architecture of SHG is so strong, because this ultimately is a peer pressure, right? Unlike JLG, here is a slightly different responsibility. So the SHGs can withstand that. Maybe we will start with the banker. And then all of you just chip in, like there is some kind of guardrails need to be put in. I know MFIN is doing and the others, SRO is also doing, but when it comes to Lakhpati Didis also, we should not be too liberal because the environment, ecosystem, whatever you call it, is slightly different at this point of time. Yeah, Kuldeep.
As you said, that what will be the credit uptake, etc.
Kuldeep, get the microphone a little close. Huh? Yeah, it's on. Closer to your.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as we were discussing, all of us discussing about the ecosystem of this Lakhpati Didi. As far as SHG is concerned, as I told earlier, that delinquency in case of this SHG component is lowest. So banks are more favorable towards the financing under the SHG and now for the women enterprises. There is no hint that they will not be successful. They will be successful entity. Maybe I earlier said also that in initial stages, when some program starts, then everybody say how it will be there. Now, hand-holding of each and every member by way of training, as Sourav was telling, by way of training, by way of educating them, it's the responsibility of all the stakeholders, how we tell about them, what is the importance of this amount. Suppose, if a woman is financed rupees 5 lakhs, she should know what is the potential here in this area. What is the potential? And she is not responsible for that. All other stakeholders, suppose there are rural self-employment agencies, RCTs in the banks also, they are also training them. Then there are other training institutes, they are telling about there should be forward and backward linkage for those products also, as it was discussed earlier. Because if we start a particular entrepreneurship, we start entrepreneur, we start a work, we should know that whether there will be a demand of this, whether how we can sell this product. Because we have to make that project as a viable project. We know that whenever the project will be viable, no bank will be there to do not finance that. Viable projects will be financed. But it is the responsibility of all stakeholders, including the financial institutions, including the other stakeholders, that we have to tell about them initially that this is a viable project, this you have to start like this. Once they start, it will go on. We have seen the banking and conclave, I was also there as Madam told, we have seen many Lakhpati Didis who are already doing good work. They have started their work and they are earning a lot. So they have started the work and they are already in entrepreneurship. Definitely not lakhs, they are earning the crores. So this is a win-win situation for the financial institutions, this is for the ladies, and all of us know that ladies are the center point of the family. So definitely that will be a good finance for the whole of the ecosystem.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Kuldeep.
you.
Yeah, let's hear a lady now.
Yeah, I just want to add, when we're talking about access to credit, a lot of times the problem is the gender disaggregated data. Yes, we need to be careful. I'm a banker in my past avatar as well. So one is not talking about dilution at any level in terms of the due diligence when it comes to access to credit. But the facts speak for themselves. When you look at your Mudra loan, where are all the women borrowers? Most of them are in the Shishu category, less than 50,000. So, that's a very important, the very few women in the second and the third category. So point number one is to look at the portfolio, the stress portfolio from a gender angle is very critical. Seeing where the stress is and where the women are, I think is the second point. Our own experience when it comes to access to credit, we are right now doing a project with SIDBI on the Prayas scheme. And here again, absolutely no dilution when it comes to the due diligence, when it comes to lending to women. And we are talking about up to 2 lakh of credit. For us, the most important aspect, and I just want to touch on what Sourav was mentioning earlier, and what you were referring to, Tamal, which was that how can we leverage the SHG ecosystem to lend, and do the risk assessment with the knowledge that exists in the self-help group. And so the model is predicated on using cluster level federation to be the, organizing and the ones that will be involved in the distribution. This is lending to the women, individual women, but leveraging the knowledge and the trust that a cluster level federation in the system enjoys. How do we leverage that to not just do the dispersal, but handhold them to make them ready to receive, the point that was made earlier in terms of capacity building. So here, what we realize is the capacity building of the CLF, along with the individual women, both needs to be built so that we build we have an ecosystem approach when it comes to access to credit, and also can play a critical role when it comes to collection as well. So I think it needs to be a collective effort of everyone, but I think it's also very important to look at the whole credit crisis from a gender lens equally. I think that's an important point that I want to leave the group here with.
Yeah, Tamalji, if I can add, I think
Yes,
the question you asked is, will it impact? Now, it will. Even for the Lakhpati Didi, because we are in the same ecosystem, it will. If one sector gets affected and not a small sector, it will definitely will. Now, why it happened? Because probably the sole credit push and other elements of the ecosystem not being present, probably it happened. Now, what is required is, now what happens is, if there is a regulatory directive that goes slow on collateral-free loans, now this definitely affects here as well. In spite of the fact that what Kalpana mentioned, that gender disaggregated data will probably show or indicate a lesser risk on this side, but if the directive is very generic and say collateral-free loans are at risk, definitely it will. So from a regulatory point of view also, the directive to the sector has also to be in such a fashion that it addresses the right risk or addresses the right point where the risk is arising, but also keeps the whole environment enabling. I think that's the point I wanted.
Thanks, Sourav. And as a representing government, thought you would be a little diplomatic, but you are very absolutely frank that yes, collateral-free loan runs some risk at this point of time. And yeah, ma'am, Kalpana, your thing is this, you said that women are, because you are talking about the mudra loans versus, because basically male farmers versus this. But if you see the current situation is this in many of the cases, or the most of the cases of the women borrowers. They have taken 4, 5, 6 loans. I have come across one lady who has taken 16 loans, 16 loans, and she was caught only when she was looking for a 17th loan. Her monthly income is 12,000 rupees. Her outgo is some 42,000 rupees. She has been just taking loan to repay old loans, and everybody is freely giving her loans. So I don't think that your thing, that gender thing at this point of time is exactly correct. And she want to react quickly, and after that, Mr. Koshy is there.
Just quickly make a rebuttal. I think we should not make a point out of an exception. I think we need to go into the data. Just because we have a couple of examples where, and we don't even know whether the woman is taking the loan or is the man taking the loan, and the woman is the front.
Okay.
Let's also be very, very clear that those kind of things are also happening in the system. I think we need to be mindful of that.
All women are clapping. I don't think that we are fighting with each other. We just discussed that we have a freewheeling conversation. Okay, instead of having long speeches, we'll have a free. That's the entire thing, to make it interactive. After this, we'll ask you guys to chip in with your questions. No comment, just brief questions. But before that, Koshy sir, you wanted to speak, and
I want to talk from my perspective.
No diplomacy.
No. See, SHG is a fantastic institution, built over the years, as you pointed out, has grown. It has enabled the entrepreneurial spirit of the common man from towns and villages. Great. Banking system, he very pointed out very nicely, has taken a lot of initiative into making credit accessible. These are large institutional initiatives. But as my banker friend pointed out, finally, what is this credit going to be used for? How is it stimulating entrepreneurial spirit? How is it stimulating more production? How is it stimulating more market? So now it is a time that we have to give a lot more attention to this institutional framework to enable their market access. Demand for their product, not just in the vicinity of their location, but across the national market. We heard earlier speakers talking about consumerism increasing significantly, average consumer spend going high. But if you really look at the kind of unique products and services available across the country in small locations versus its reach across national market is still limited. Especially the digital is a fantastic element. If you look at the actual statistics of the large digital commerce company, 85% of it will come from few products and few services which are meant for, like I said, the predominant section of the society. I'm happy that we took some initiative through NRLM to sort of help the small business to take advantage of this access. So I would just highlight one point that all of us will have to now think. Now there are different components that is enabling transaction like credit, like logistics, like warehousing, like packaging, everything is now available in a stitchable fashion. We have to give a lot of focus to looking at and helping these enterprises to enhance their demand across the country and probably internationally.
Marketing, connecting. Yes, I think, yeah, wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Please.
See, if I have to add, on the risk on the non-collateral loans, which, generally, institution runs, I think there, kind of integration between, the financial institution or the lending institution and the insurance institution can come in play. Because, insurance industry do have products, which secures the funding which are collateral driven or non-collateral driven to any institutions or to any individual, by way of the insurance product we generally have. However, we have to see how do we actually institutionalize this. Number two is that, if I understand it, by far seeing the statistics and listening to the statistics, what we have shared so far, I think this is the biggest community institution running in the whole world. I don't know, I am failing to remember that is there any other community institution like this, what numbers you are sharing where over 100 million, members are there and close to, 10 million, SHGs are there. So I think, this is the biggest community institution running in the whole world by far, as far as, my understanding goes.
Yes, yes.
So I think
This is the world's largest microfinance.
largest, I think, congratulations to, I think, NRLM to actually running and, keeping it at that scale. So I would say, how do we integrate the insurance product with those financial products to ensure that those women are kind of encouraged by both the part of these financial ecosystem to deal with these, these anomalies in much better.
Anjani, you wanted to add, yeah.
So very quickly, one,
We'll take a few questions from the audience. Just keep the microphone ready. Huh.
Yeah. One, I think this whole idea of the Lakhpati Didi has to be the credit plus. We know that for any businesses, the credit and finances are super critical, but it's not the end of the whole story. And again, Koshy ji here, his role in terms of market connect, all the business development services, technical advisory, the technology support, all those things are super critical. And again, the beauty of the NRLM is, they don't just look at the finance part of it, but they have a whole range of the partners who support the SHG members in terms of the advisory services, in terms of technology support, in terms of marketing support, in terms of design support, and that's where I was referring that institutions like IIM Bangalore and IIM Calcutta is helping these enterprises in terms of the whole incubation and acceleration supports and all. So we need to do more of that to make this, Lakhpati Didi's, work and all. The second point, I think, which, Sanjay highlighting, yes. I think that's a very, very important point. NRLM also has a concept of the model federation. I think now from SHG, we are talking about SHG informal institution, but these cluster level federation are formal institutions where there are 300 to 500 SHGs are part of it. There are 3,000 to 5,000 women part of it. And again, the Kalpana's work with Siddhu is a fantastic example that how, the whole last mile connect can be left to the, the CLF to do that rather than, any external organizations can, do that. So, there is a concept called public-private community partnership. So, company like insurance, company like you, can partner with the cluster level federations, and these cluster level federations can identify and do all those, the low cost identification, processing, all those things can be done by them so that it reduces your cost. At the same time, you at a much lower cost, you are able to reach out to many more customers and all. So I think one can, think about having that kind of a public-private community partnership engagement, and one could evolve more of those models and all.
Thanks, Anjani.
Just one point on the insurance, I just wanted to add. I mean, I think insurance is the most relevant resilience product when it comes to women entrepreneurs, because she's at the most vulnerable to risk. And of late, we are also speaking quite a lot about climate risk. And so therefore our research globally has shown that 753 million women, are most vulnerable to climate risk. And in fact, in that, a huge segment is women entrepreneurs. And so parameterized insurance and things like that, I think we need to, when we are talking about bringing in more or producing more Lakhpati women, how to have more innovative products that are, affordable, available to the women, I think is something that we also need to be focusing on. And insurance industry can play a very critical role there.
Absolutely correct. I would say that, you see, when we talk about diversity, I think the diversity in the product line is also very important. They are already the entrepreneurs. If they are already the entrepreneurs, they are actually, incapacitated to actually not only protect themselves, but protect the person across them as well. So I think, what Anjani sir was also mentioning, that how do we integrate that public-private partnership to see that, protection goes hand in hand along with in the proposition which we want to create out of NRLM and the bank.
Thanks, Jagjeet. Yeah, we'll take Anybody wants to? Yeah. Just for the record, before just one liner, I was just again going through the numbers. The two of the relatively more advanced Indian states when it comes to GDP and per capita income, Gujarat and Maharashtra, they have far lesser SHGs. Gujarat has just 278,000, which is 1/4 of some of the other states. Maharashtra is bigger, but it's still less. 6,35,000. Yes, lady. Just introduce yourself and no comment, the question only.
Good morning.
Sir, just hold on. Let her, again, gender preference.
Thank you,
let her first and then you.
Good morning. My name is Ashani. I'm independent consultant representing Habitat for Humanity here.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry, my name is Ashani. I'm representing Habitat for Humanity. I have a small question regarding the nature of the businesses that the Lakhpati Didis are doing. The government has a clear push through drone Didis, solar engineers. Is that upskilling of Didis happening on the ground in terms of the businesses that they're picking up?
Okay, who wants to take the question? I think Sourav, you're the person you should answer.
So, it's a good question. A lot more research needs to be done on it, but the initial data which we have, it shows different sector enterprises. Yes, the question you said, upskilling is happening. If I can say, the highest number of businesses are actually in the food processing sector. And I think because of the Ministry of Food Processing scheme, PMFME, I think this got a lot of support. The second is, of course, in the trading. Now, and then third is, the manufacturing is currently just about 6%. It's increasing. It was much lower earlier, but we see an increasing trend. In terms of upskilling and training, once is of course in the business, but also if you look at the quality of bookkeeping, improving, digital transactions in the businesses finding its place, all talks about the upskilling. But yes, lot more needs to be done in that space.
Thanks, Sourav. Yes, gentlemen, please. Let him have the, yeah. Please. Anybody else can get up? Yeah, well, good. Just if you have any other microphone, please go there so you can cut down the timing. Yeah. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Tamal. And this question is a general question to all the panelists. You know, we are talking about...
Can you just introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name is Natarajan. I represent a company called South India Finvest. I'm the chairman and MD of the company. The broader theme, I think the various panel members represent the financial inclusion and also the rural development overall as a country. I think I see representative from Gates Foundation and all of this. I think, Tamal, just a general question. I think we need to think a little deeper. We are talking to the same customers through multiple segments. One is SHG, okay, then there is JLG, okay, and then there is a rural development program run by government, but that's not been routed properly through the microfinance. Today, if we talk about Tamal, microfinance is being represented almost in all the districts of the country, almost about 700 districts. I've not heard about a sincere push from the agents that are working on to really take all the programs that are being run, okay, through the distribution channel called microfinance. Because ultimately, one segment ends up cannibalizing the other segment, and also it creates some kind of a bad credit culture. I think this is a deeper question for all of us to think and drive this.
Thanks. I think more is a comment than this thing. I wish there's a microfinance person here who could have answered. Basically, the concentration you are saying, instead of spreading, they are flocking to the same area. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? Just any question? Please. This
Sir, I am Smriti.
Just make it a question brief and introduce yourself. Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, the first SHG finance in 1987 from PNB Khairtal, I was instrumental in that also. My question is, how is that the second generation beneficiaries of SHGs, I mean to say the SHG beneficiaries and their children, they are the best source to increase the business by way of Lakhpati, these things, and digital products for them in the rural areas itself, that we can make a better use of. That's a very good source of entrepreneurs, the second generation SHG beneficiaries. why can't the government have a separate, exclusive kind of a scheme for them within NRLM?
Tamal, if I may address to that. So I think not required. See, understand, under NRLM, the unit is the household. It's not the women. Women is the entry point to the household. When we are talking of enterprises also, we are saying women-led, but it's not like that the children of the household or the spouse of the SHG member is not involved in that business. So it's already there. If a young person in the household has got a training and actually contributes in the business, and we see that many of the trained youth are actually coming in the business and helping her mother in designing, in packing, in the technology integration, in online marketing. So these are ways the children are contributing in this. So a separate scheme may not be required.
I mean, just one line. There is a program called DDU JKY, which is part of the NRLM, which basically caters to the young girls and boys of the SHG members from the rural areas and all, and they get trained and placed, they get the skilling training and get placed with the various formal job markets and all. So it's already inbuilt in.
Thanks. Yeah, one more. Yeah, please. Finally, we got Ajayan. We started with one lady, and then this is the last question. Sorry, we are running out of. We'll be running out of time anyway.
Thank you so much, panel, for wonderful discussion. This is Dr. Anita Raman from ICFI Business School. I have one small query related to academic institutions and their role. As the panel mentioned, the role of stakeholders, various stakeholders, I think the academic angle is slightly missing. So other than IITs and IIMs, can you just tell us what could be the possible roles in capacity building, training, so that we could partner and make sure that we also make our contributions. Thank you.
I think again Sourav probably will be able to answer this. Beyond IIT, IIM, anybody else can chip in?
Yeah, some of the academic institutions are already partnering. If you are asking roles, training, capacity building, mentoring, okay? And another area is research, where not much has been done. So academic institutions has a big role to play in this. See, NRLM alone cannot achieve what is aspiring to achieve. Other stakeholders have to come in, and academic institutions is an important part to this.
Thanks. I think unfortunately, we'll stop taking questions. We'll go to the quick last round. Those who have questions, please get hold of them after this session. They'll be around having tea and all, so please do that. So all of us, actually, there's no division in opinion that we need this. It's a need of the hour. Graduating from group level to individuals, Lakhpati, and why Lakhpati, even Crorepati. So there are three components to it. One is the finance component, which there is various ways of collateral-free loans, subvention, making money flow, so on and so forth. Second part is the skill building. That's a very critical part. Sourav, you represent the government. It's a very, very critical part. Like the skill development program, and the ground reality is very different, whatever I have seen that. It's not, we talk much about it, but actual training, etc., I think is not what we hear from media and all. And third part is the, again, integral part is the marketing. Whatever one produces, be it a food processing, be it cloth, be it something else, how do we market it? Incidentally, there have been, NRLM had all those, I was going through that, this Amazon and Flipkart, all linkages have been established there and all. Yep. So in the last round, each of you will start with insurance, representing insurance Singh and all. Tell me, give us, we discussed, there is no disagreement among us, we need that. Sourav says that collateral-free loan, we need to be a little careful at this point of time because the ecosystem is not that good. Even though this lady does not agree with that, she says no, women are better, and whatever is happening, probably men are fronting for, women are fronting for women. We are not getting into that. Women are fronting for men, rather. We are not getting into that, but give us some suggestions, because the audience is here, SRO, Sa-Dhan is here, and everybody else is here, representative from Reserve Bank, from government and all. So give us, if we ask you for 2 minutes each, or even 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes is the outer limit. suggestions to make it happen, make it better, better coordination, better processing, be it skill building, be it marketing, be it finance. What are the 2-3 key suggestions? Don't repeat. So you have the advantage and you have the least advantage, Koshy Saab, because you'll be the last speaker. Over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Tamal. I would say, without repeating anything, one
Maximum
is that,
2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. In a small statistic, is still, 40% of our Indian population don't have even basic coverages. And I think, this starts from the most rural part of our country. Only channel, which can actually make insurance reach to the basic level is the self-help group, which we have kind of realized that it's a very important, factor in actually ensuring the whole India. So I think what we can do here, I would say that, a kind of partnership where the insurance industry comes together with NRLM, develop a workforce, train them, guide them to not only protect themselves, but also protect people whom they are working with. If they are in the food processing industry, can they ensure that the people working in that food processing network are insured? At the same time, the assets are insured. At the same time, when they are actually, asking for some kind of loan from different financial institutions, the banks are insured. So that the whole ecosystem works in a more protected manner and ensure that the journey of these, self-help group from one stature of society to the next stature of society is smoother. So I think for me, I would say that, a partnership between us as an industry and NRLM to actually make this a success.
Thanks. Kuldeep, your suggestions. Sourav, I am keeping you at the last thing. So, okay.
So as already said, that the financial institutions like banks, they are the most important as far as the finance is concerned. Because we have to go for the financing to these bank securities to the banks. But at the same time, it is not the only the banks which can finance. They can give finances, they can give credits. But it's I think this is the responsibility of all the stakeholders, including the insurers, including the state governments, including the central governments, to handhold all the entrepreneurs who are entering this program, entrepreneurship, because this is a bit new program. So we have to handhold them, and once we handhold them, credit is not an issue, as Madam was saying something about the various mudra loans or etc. Credit is not an issue as far as banks are concerned. Banks are open for the credits for SHGs as on date and for the SHG members also. So definitely this program is going to be a successful program with the help of all the...
Thanks, Kuldeep. Bankers is saying one of the very large public sector banks said that credit is not an issue at all. Good to hear that. Sourav is nodding. Yes. You, Anjani. Quickly, 1.5 minutes, sir. Some suggestions.
Sorry?
Some suggestions.
I think few suggestions probably on which NRLM is already working on it, but probably we need to do, much more. One, building the, private sector partnership. I think that's a area still we are struggling with. I mean, at this moment we are saying 30 million Lakhpati Didi, but the overall, the SHG members are, 100 million. So again, we need to also, while we achieve these 30 million, we need to have some kind of a pathway for, rest 70 million as well. So the whole private sector partnership is an important element that needs to be worked. Second, also this, on the financial side, and because this house is full of financial experts and all, while SHG bank linkage, the product which was innovated in 1991, 1992, I mean, we have continued, we have expanded, but there is no product innovation which has happened except that in the last few years, this whole enterprise financing which has come up. But I think, these SHG members also deserve several other kind of a financial product, and we need to probably, work in creating more innovative financial product for them and all.
Thanks, Kalpana.
Yeah.
Talk about some products you think.
Right. I think products are there. I think the most important one is we are blessed in this country to have a fantastic digital public infrastructure rail. But I think when we are talking about serving this community of self-help group, there is no taking away the importance of a phygital presence. So the role that the local women can play in leveraging and unlocking the digital public infrastructure, and our work it's absolutely product agnostic, be it a payment system, be it insurance, be it savings or credit. You know, this combination of physical and the digital public infrastructure and really leveraging the social capital that exists in the SHG system, that's going to take us to the next level. Yeah, so
thanks.
We need to be mindful of that.
Koshy sir, you have been keeping quiet. Your suggestions.
I will again push from the latest of the digital public infrastructure that has been set up in our country, which is an open network to enable commerce. And then we have multiple entities and institutions sitting here, so I will just make one appeal to all of them. That in every of your initiative that you enter into in strengthening this micro businesses, build in a very strong factor of market access and helping them to leverage this latest digital public infrastructure in enhancing their market access significantly better, creating a digital trail. That also will become one of the solid foundations on which the credit and the insurance will work on.
Yeah, Sourav, you heard them. You can add or something else you want to say on behalf of the government.
Yeah, I think most of the suggestions are good. I come from a position in my suggestions to say that, see, in self-help group bank linkage and this whole program, we have spent a little more than a decade. Now, for this whole Lakhpati Didi initiative and to take them to that level, we cannot have that kind of time. We have to fast track things. We cannot spend another 1.5 decades to do this. So if we are to fast track this, one thing which is crucial.
So when you say fast track, instead of keeping it just fast track, say from 1 crore through 3 crore, what will be the timeline?
2 to 3 years.
Okay.
3 years maybe is probably, it should be doable.
Sure.
And if we are to do this, first thing what is required is simplification of the processes. It has started, but across various things, the simplification is the process we'll have to take it. I think this is something which is non-negotiable, from formalization to access to market to access to finance, everything. So this is one. Secondly, we need to really create a reliable support system. When I'm saying support system, it is the system. See, I'm just taking our experience from the SHG bank linkage. We position bank sakhis at the bank branches. I think we have about 65,000 bank branches where one member is there in every branch to assist them. It was a fantastic network, very reliable network, and it was one of the reasons to improve the credit linkage. Such a reliable network for hand-holding, for mentoring, for these enterprises is also required. And mind it, when we are talking self-help groups and now graduating, we are talking 10x. So the numbers will go by 10 times. So for that, this kind of an architecture and a reliable architecture is required. If you are able to do this, along with some other suggestion which has already been made, I am sure we will be able to achieve it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sourav. So I think, yes, we have come to an end to this. I don't want to repeat and take much time because we are running behind the schedule. So essentially, all of them have agreed that this is the need of the hour. Why Lakhpati? Make it crorepati. Don't make it just a promise and 2000 Vikshit Bharat 47 has nothing to do with this. It needs to be done, this 3 crore in the next 2-3 years. That's what Sourav says. We need to look into the marketing part. We need to look into the skill building part. We need to make it happen. The actually money flows happen despite this little bit of vitiating atmosphere of the ecosystem at this point of time. And you need to simplify the processes. So to end this, there was a Hindi film last year, and it is well acclaimed. Is nothing to do with this. It's called Lapata Ladies. The theme is not this, but you just think about the Lapata Ladies figuratively. So I think the job before us is this: identifying the Lapata Ladies. I'm not talking about the film concept, but they use the Lapata Ladies and convert them into Lakhpati Didis. I think that would be the mission, that will be the ambition, that will be a vision, that will be our dream. If you like this, give them a big hand. All of them are pretty frank and listening. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you.
On that very crucial note, thank you so much, moderator of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for the moderator and the esteemed speakers. Very illuminating thoughts, very vibrant exchange of thoughts. Wish we had time, as mentioned by the moderator of the session. We could have taken the discussion forward. May I invite on stage former Chairman NABARD, Dr. Prakash Bakshi, and may I also invite on stage former MD and CEO Northeast Small Finance Bank and board member of Sa-Dhan, Ms. Rupali Kaleta, to kindly join us onto the stage and felicitate our honorable speakers of the session. Once again, a big thank you to all our esteemed speakers. Thank you so much. Wish we had more time. We could have taken this discussion forward. Requesting Dr. Bakshi and Ms. Kalita to kindly join us onto the stage, and we also invite Mr. Gigi Mamin to join us onto the stage. We like to present a token of love and appreciation, a shawl and a memento. May I request Dr. Bakshi and Ms. Kalita to kindly present a memento to all our distinguished speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please, may I request you all to participate in this one last moment of this wonderful discussion that we have had, as we thank and express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers. Extremely important and pertinent points have been discussed, which were around the Lakhpati Didi, a discussion which was really speaking about the pointers towards elevating the SHG model to the next level. A shawl and a memento being presented to all our distinguished speakers of the session. Presented by Dr. Bakshi and Ms. Rupali Kaleta. And may we have a huge round of applause. Now we present a memento to our distinguished speaker of the session. And a huge round of applause and a thank you to the moderator of the session, Mr. Tamal Bandyopadhyay. Thank you so much, sir, for wonderfully conducting and concluding the session. With a cited thought from Lapata ladies that will stay in our mind forever. Requesting our dignitaries to kindly step forward for a good group photograph. We captured this in our lenses. Thank you so much. With that, we conclude this session.
I just want to make a small announcement. In fact, we were discussing about the SHGs and Lakhpati Didi. See, the History Channel has come out with is going to telecast a 3 episode program on SHG program, its evolution. And I'm really happy that one of the architects of SHG movement itself is with us, Dr. Prakash Bakshi, who started in 87. He was involved from 87 onwards. So that first episode of that History Channel program on SHG, its genesis, would be telecast day after tomorrow. That's the first one. Then thereafter there will be 2 more episodes. Then number 1. So please do watch it. Thank you.
The first episode is day after tomorrow, History TV, 6 p.m. Please remember to watch it. The genesis of the SHG movement and how it has scaled up to the discussion that has taken place today. It's a huge transition. Please do watch.